Good evening, hello and welcome. You're with the news today, Tuesday night. This is your destination. News, newsmakers, talking points, news with perspective, news without the noise. Tonight, the big talking point. Sonia Gandhi is once again being questioned by the Enforcement Directorate. The big question, is it now Modi government versus the Gandhis? An open war is the process, the punishment for Sonia Gandhi now. Also a huge tragedy in dry Gujarat. What does that say about prohibition? Is it time to do away with it? But first, as always, it's time for the 9 headlines at 9. Herald heat on the Gandhis. Sonia summoned again tomorrow by the agency after 6-hour grilling today. Rahul Gandhi stages a sit-in dharna, is detained. BJP fires a scamster jibe. A day after Lok Sabha MPs are suspended, 19 Rajya Sabha MPs are also suspended for raising slogans demanding a discussion on GST hike and fuel prices. More trouble for the Trinamool Congress minister, Partha Chatterjee, the arrested minister. Mystery black diary seized by the Enforcement Directorate from his aide Arpita Mukherjee's house with 40 pages of entries. Agencies suspect diary holds clue to the cash for jobs scam payoffs. A Bhopal BTech student's body found on railway track. Parents claim they received a chilling message. Police deny the beheading angle, claim it's a case of suicide. Moral policing in Mangaluru. Bajrang Dal activists barge into a pub, chase out students holding parties, accuse them of wearing skimpy clothes. A boost for India's forces. Defence Ministry clears arms procurement worth over 28,732 crores for defence forces, including armed swarm drones, carbines and bulletproof jackets. The nation pays tribute to Kargil war heroes on the 23rd anniversary of India's win over Pakistan. Prime Minister Modi, Rajnath Singh, tri-service chiefs salute the valour and sacrifice of forces. Big row breaks out over actor Ranveer Singh's photo shoot. Mumbai cops booked the actor for vulgarity. Alia Bhatt and Arjun Kapoor back Ranveer amidst the outrage. An Olympic gold winner and javelin thrower Neeraj Chopra to give the Birmingham Commonwealth Games a miss due to an injury he sustained during the World Athletics Championships. But first to the big story that's happening this evening. Sonia Gandhi, the Congress president, has been grilled for 6 hours on day 2 of the questioning by the Enforcement Directorate. Mrs. Gandhi has been called again tomorrow by the Enforcement Directorate in the National Herald probe. She was first, remember, questioned last week. So this will be the 3rd day that she will be questioned tomorrow. Meanwhile, Rahul Gandhi was detained today for a dharna. He's now been released. The Congress was staging sit-in protests at different points in the national capital. A lot of drama taking place there. I'm joined by Munish Pandey, our correspondent who covers the Enforcement Directorate. Munish, Sonia Gandhi grilled for 6 hours or questioned for 6 hours, and now the Enforcement Directorate says they will question her again tomorrow. What is the line of questioning for Sonia Gandhi that the ED is actually pushing for?
Well, Rajdeep, so far Sonia Gandhi has been questioned for 8 hours, 2 hours on the first day, and today she was questioned for almost 6 hours with a break of 1 hour, that was at lunchtime. As far as the line of questioning is concerned, Rajdeep, what ED wants to know from Sonia Gandhi is that why she chose to become director of Young Indian Private Limited. She was also the major shareholder of Young Indian Private Limited with 38% of shareholding. These are two important aspects which the ED has been questioning Sonia Gandhi on in last 2 sessions of questioning. But as far as the next round of questioning is concerned, they want to know about the financial transaction which took place between AJL and Young Indian Private Limited. They also want to know about whether Sonia Gandhi was aware that Congress party had given loan of 90 crore rupees to AJL. So these are the important aspects on which the Enforcement Directorate wants to question Sonia Gandhi.
No, but such lengthy questioning, Munish, such for the third day in a row. Tomorrow will be the third day. What is it that she has, that they want to get out of her that they haven't got so far?
Yeah, well, as far as the financial aspect is concerned, and Rajdeep, remember, even Rahul Gandhi was questioned for almost 50 hours for 5 days. But as far as the other persons were concerned, like Pawan Bansal or Mallikarjun Kharge, they were questioned only for 1 day. So, of course, there are a lot of questions which are being asked by people that why Rahul Gandhi was questioned for so many hours and why Sonia Gandhi. Now, as far as ED sources are concerned, what they are telling us that as far as the financial aspect is concerned in this case, now Rahul Gandhi at that point of time had given answer that it was Motilal Vora, the treasurer of not only the Congress party, but also he was responsible for any financial transaction between AJL and Young Indian Private Limited. Now, Motilal Vora is not alive to justify his position that what went at that point of time. As far as the Young Indian Private Limited is concerned, it's the Section 25 Companies Act incorporated form. But ED wants to know that why there was no charitable trust, charitable work by this company. And Rahul Gandhi had also at that point of time said that this is a charitable company. No person can take a single penny from this company. But ED still has their suspicion, and that is why Rahul Gandhi was questioned for 5 days. In case of Sonia Gandhi, again, ED wants to know from Sonia Gandhi that why there was no charitable work by Young Indian Private Limited and why, again, all the financial transactions was done by...
I'm going to stop you now because I'm joined by Abhishek Manu Singhvi. Joining me now right at the top of the show is Abhishek Manu Singhvi. He is Congress leader, senior Supreme Court lawyer, senior CWC member, and also appearing for Sonia Gandhi in the case. Dr. Singhvi, appreciate your joining us. I know you've been in a vehicle in Bengaluru as you speak to us. As you heard from Munish Pandey, Sonia Gandhi now questioned over 2 days for more than 8 hours. She will again be questioned tomorrow. According to Munish Pandey, the ED wants to know the exact nature of financial transactions in which Mrs. Gandhi may have been involved. Your response?
Rajdeep, I was hearing this. Of course, as you can see, I'm in a vehicle because I've come to meet somebody medically unwell. But the point is that you ask the right question. And there can be no answer to that question because the real answer to your question, Rajdeep, is all these hours, tomorrow maybe 15 hours by the end of the day, are for humiliation, for pettiness, for vendetta. And I'll tell you why. It is inconceivable to a kindergarten law student or a commonsensical human being as to how you can ask more than 5 or 7 questions. And give me just a couple of minutes to enlighten your viewers through you. One, why did you take on Young India, as your correspondent rightly say, and why did you become a shareholder director? Well, Young Indian was a company associated with the larger family of also AJL, also National Herald, also the Congress party. And do you think we will ask the president of the BJP to become an associated person with the Young Indian? Obviously, the senior people of the Congress lent their name to become directors and shareholders. But what is the point of this question? Can you, Rajdeep Sardesai, as a director or a shareholder of Young Indian, take even a penny in any form? That's the relevant question.
So the relevant question, Dr. Singhvi, which the ED is entitled to ask, is the nature of the transactions that were taking place between associate journals which held, just a minute, sir, National Herald and the Young India Trust, the so-called Section 25 company that was formed by the Congress party in a way with the likes of Sonia Gandhi as their directors. They want to know the nature of the financial transactions between these two companies.
Rajdeep, allow me that much. I have been handling this case. Allow me to speak. Let you learn. What is the nature of the transaction? Sonia Gandhi did not deal at any point of time with the nitty-gritty, nor did Rahul Gandhi. The treasurer was Mr. Motilal Vora. The constitution of the Congress does not require the treasurer to take the permission, revert back, or coordinate with the president for any of these activities. Point 1. Point 2. Everything which you are saying and which they are purporting to ask is in documents recorded. There is no need for questioning except humiliation. I'll tell you why. Over 10 odd years, roughly large amounts of money to the employees of National Herald, and such papers are rarely profitable, became due in arrears as salary, wages, bonus. Over the time, ad hoc basis, Congress gave by check these payments which were made by check by AJL to its workers, either as bonus, gratuity or wages. Over time, therefore, this ran up to whatever the figure you said, 80, 90 crores over decades. To clean up the balance sheet of AJL without transferring one single property of AJL, Young India was created, and as I've said earlier, it would be the most foolish person who would create a Section 8 not-for-profit company like Young India, siphon of money, when you can't even take perks or salary or dividend. What do you siphon off? Then the next question is, you are saying you have to question for what? You paid these amounts by check. Instead of this debt which had run up in AJL issued shares, converting its debt into equity, and therefore Young India became a shareholder of AJL. Converting debt into equity is a well-known technique in the corporate market. The shares were held largely 90% plus by Young Indian. Young India had shareholders and directors like Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, Motilal Vora, etc. None of them could take a penny. Every money flow is documented. The properties of AJL, be it some property in Bahadur Shah Zafar Marg or elsewhere in India, not a single property moved. The law is very clear that Company A, which has the shares of Company B, even if Company A owns Company B 100%, Company A does not become the shareholder of the properties owned by Company B. Now, what is the questioning? Can you imagine what I have summarized to you, running through very fast in about 2 minutes or 3
No,
minutes?
you've given me.
Of 20 hours.
You're saying that the questioning prima facie indicates a desire to harass the individuals. However, sir, the fact is, the Enforcement Directorate registered a fresh case under the criminal provisions of the Prevention of Money Laundering Act after a trial court in Delhi took cognizance of the income tax investigation against Young Indian. And if you remember, in 2014, they had said there's a prima facie income tax violation case. Now, let us assume that the Enforcement Directorate is keeping Sonia Gandhi there for hours and on end to prove a political point. At the end of the day, sir, that is the law of the land, that the Enforcement Directorate has the right to call and question and interrogate whoever they wish. If your client has nothing to worry about, why should you or anyone else in the Congress party be worried? Doodh ka doodh, pani ka pani. Why not, like Sharad Pawar, offer yourself voluntarily before the ED as he did in 2019 and actually got sympathy as a result?
Rajdeep, you have answered your question yourself. You have answered it in detail. Number one, what has Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi done? They have offered themselves for 55 hours and probably by tomorrow 20 hours. What have they done? Have they gone to court? Have they sought injunction? Have they not offered themselves? But number two, are you not conflating wrongly their offer to present themselves along with the country knowing how baseless this case is with no money flowing and moving and yet constituting money laundering? Number three, don't conflate also the income tax with the ED case, because the income tax case is pending in the Supreme Court. It is sub judice. Today's proceedings and last night's proceeding of Rahul Gandhi had nothing to do with the income tax case. Nothing whatsoever in terms of relevance. Number four, you just read the Supreme Court judgment 4 or 5 days ago. The existence of a power to call and question you, Rajdeep, the existence of my power to arrest you, Rajdeep, is nothing to do with the actual exercise of that power. That is exactly what the Supreme Court said in the context of arrest. You have to be sparing. You have to be restrained. So I have the power. So just to humiliate you, I can call you. Of course I have the power. That's the whole point we are making. You have the power, but a child of first year law will know that you cannot ask more than 20 questions in 1 hour in this situation. You stretch the question whatever way you like.
Sir, but you know this is an old ED tactic. This is not, sir, Sonia Gandhi is not alone. We have seen over the years, whenever someone has been brought before the Enforcement Directorate, they tend to elongate the questioning. It may well be that they have only 10 or 20 questions, but they keep on questioning the person involved. It's not unusual, sir. You're making it out to be as if this is an exception.
Rajdeep, you please tell me, for all the documented issues, for the nature of the case I've summarized, you have to have a basis for keeping. She's going. She's an elderly woman. She's not very well. She's going. Rahul Gandhi went for 55 hours. Who's saying you're not going? But we are at rights to point out that this is harassment humiliation vendetta. Because to ask the right question of your correspondent, how is it possible that you need them for so long? Tomorrow again she will go. Does that mean that your power to call her is correct? The fact that you can call her or the fact that she goes, is it equivalent to the right to exercise the power you have?
Okay.
Technically your argument means that this ED can keep calling her every day for the next 1 month. Of course it can call her. Why stop at 3 days? To give me a single argument why documented points I have made or the nature of the transaction I have explained.
Let me leave it there, Dr. Singhvi, because we are slowly losing your audio. But I think your point has been made. You're claiming that this is pure and simple harassment. You're claiming Sonia Gandhi is ready to answer all questions. But do you really need her for so many hours over so many days for a case that has already been in a public domain over the last decade? Let's leave it there, Dr. Singhvi. You are, as I said, a fine lawyer. You've made a case for your client. Thank you very much for joining me. But there is the politics that is therefore being played out. And that's what we are going to turn to in a moment. Because as the Enforcement Directorate questioned Sonia Gandhi for a second time, the Congress has once again hit the streets, alleging political vendetta. The BJP mocked the Congress for rushing to defend the Gandhis who are facing a probe, saying that this is an interference with the entire probe. How did the entire drama play out since the morning? Take a look.
यहाँ बैठने नहीं दे रहे अंदर बात नहीं करी जा रही है डिस्कशन नहीं अलाउड है और यहाँ पे हमसे अरेस्ट कर रहे हैं
Another day of massive Congress fury on roads. Holding banners, arguing with cops, sitting on dharna. The national capital witnessing high drama on Tuesday morning. While Congress's interim president Sonia Gandhi was being quizzed by the ED for the second day in the National Herald money laundering case, her son and Congress MP Rahul Gandhi led a march from Parliament to the President's house.
यहाँ पे सारे सांसद आए और उन्होंने महंगाई की बात की और बेरोजगारी की बात की और ये हमें यहाँ बैठने नहीं दे रहे अंदर बात नहीं करी जा रही है डिस्कशन नहीं अलाउड है और यहाँ पे हमसे अरेस्ट कर रहे हैं वो तो सच्चाई है मोदी जी राजा है पुलिस स्टेट है
But cops foiled the Congress march, citing no permission. While Rahul held a sit-in protest, he, along with several Congress leaders, was detained amid high drama. Rahul was taken away in a Delhi police bus along with other party MPs. Congress workers also clashed with police at the party headquarters in Delhi. Congress up in arms, crying political vendetta against Sonia Gandhi.
यहाँ पर केंद्र की सरकार ने सिर्फ ठान रखी है कि एजेंसीज का इस्तेमाल करना है विपक्ष की आवाज को कुचलने के लिए और खासकर कांग्रेस के नेताओं को टारगेट करने के लिए।
कांग्रेस नहीं चाहती है कि सोनिया जी के खिलाफ इन्वेस्टिगेशन हो। ये जो सेंस ऑफ एंटाइटलमेंट है, क्या केवल इस सेंस ऑफ एंटाइटलमेंट के कारण इन्वेस्टिगेशन को बंद कर देना चाहिए क्या?
From Chandigarh to Raipur to Kerala, Congress workers hit the streets and staged protests against Sonia's ED summons. Rahul Gandhi too has been grilled by ED multiple times in the Herald laundering case, accompanied by similar Congress street protests. With Supriya Bharadwaj and Mausami Singh in New Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
So is this now open war between the Modi government and the Gandhis, particularly Sonia Gandhi? Street protests by the Congress, does it constitute bad optics? Does the Enforcement Directorate have proof to act against Sonia Gandhi? Is the process as the punishment, as the Chief Justice of India suggested a few days ago, in another wider context? Joining me now for our face-off, Shama Mohammed of the Congress and Shehzad Poonawala of the BJP. Shehzad Poonawala, let's come to you. Cut the chase. You heard Dr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi saying even if you want to question Sonia Gandhi, no problem with it at all. But when you take so many hours to question someone over a case that over a decade ago requires only a few documents to be checked. When you question her over several hours, now calling her again third day, he says it amounts to vendetta, pure harassment, nothing to do with the case itself. Your response?
You know, Rajdeep, you gave 10 minutes to Mr. Singhvi. I'll just take 1/10 of the time. This is what I call, this is not about ED, Enforcement Directorate. This is entitlement of dacoity. This is entitledness, even when they want to dictate how the investigation should be done. First of all, is it not true that a court of law, the trial court and the high court, has said that there are criminal aspects of this case that should be investigated? They had said that Young Indians was actually a special purpose vehicle by which 2,000 crores worth of property belonging to freedom fighters and Indian people was usurped, and by the way, it was not just income tax violation, it was a violation of 403, 406, 420, 120B, which forms a predicate schedule offence under PMLA.
The court has not said that.
No,
Shahzad Poonawala, you must be, you must not mislead the audience.
May I read out the court order? May I read out the court order? Rajdeep, this is not fair. You just gave Abhishek 10 minutes.
I'm going to give you the same.
I will read out court order.
The court has said there is a prima facie income tax violation that needs to be investigated.
If I read this and if you're wrong, then what?
Please go ahead.
Will you apologize to me?
No, please go ahead.
I'm reading out the High Court and the trial court lines. Please bear with me. After having considered this entire case in its proper perspective, this court, the High Court, finds no hesitation to put on record that the modus operandi adopted by the petitioners in taking control of AJL via special purpose vehicle, VI, particularly when the main persons in Congress party, AJL and VI, are the same, evidences a criminal intent, not income tax violation. Well, listen. Yes. Whether it is cheating, criminal misappropriation or criminal breach of trust is not required to be spelled out at this stage, but let me tell you what the trial court said. From this complaint and the evidence led so far, it appears that YI in fact was created as a sham or a cloak to convert public money to personal use or a special purpose vehicle for acquiring control of 2,000 crores worth of assets. And since all the accused persons have allegedly acted in consortium with each other to achieve the said nefarious purpose or design, there are sufficient grounds for proceedings against them, against all of them. It goes without saying the guilt of the accused will be determined when the trial is proved, but this is what they have said, and under that they have said section 120B, let the accused number 1 to 6, under namely Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, Motilal Vora, Oscar Fernandez and others, section 120B, 403, 406, 420. If I am lying, this is para number 9 in the High Court order and para number 39 of the High Court.
This is subject to the trial.
One second.
The matter is pending before the
you are
Supreme Court on
interrupting and
income
breaking
tax.
my flow.
Sir, my limited point to you, Shahzad Poonawala.
Rajdeep, you cannot do this. You gave Mr. Abhishek Singhvi
Dr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi claimed that where is the Prevention of Money Laundering Act invoked
Rajdeep,
here? Where is the scheduled offence? Please go ahead.
Yes, Rajdeep, please, now you will not interrupt me. Please let me tell you. Please let me explain to you, because this is a legal concept. There is section 3 of PMLA of ED Act, PMLA Act, which governs ED, money laundering. Money laundering doesn't mean just money coming in and out. It means criminal proceeds of a crime. Now, under section 3 of PMLA, scheduled offences include 420 and 120B. I am showing you para 9 of the trial court order, which talks about the fact that there is section 403, 406, 420 along with 120B that has been put on the accused, that's Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi, and para 39 of the High Court order has also reiterated that fact. They have got no relief. So there is a scheduled offence under which the ECIR was then filed, and the investigation in the ED is going on the basis of this. This is not even at the ECIR stage, this is at a trial court, this is at a cognizance of court stage, not at a FIR or an ECIR stage. Now let me bring to the larger point. A few questions I can raise and then Shama Mohammed can answer. First of all, they said this is a satyagraha. Let me tell you what was done in the name of satyagraha. It was a hatyagraha and a duragraha. Nagpur, protesters burnt a vehicle. Mr. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, a member of parliament, LOP, called ED idiot. Then you have Renuka Chaudhary holding the collar of a police wala. Is this satyagraha? Then you have Netta D'Souza spitting on women police constables. Is this satyagraha? Then you have Congress people burning tires outside ED office, defacing, and also one Congress leader called Mr. Prime Minister Modi that he should die a dog's death. Is this all satyagraha? Now let me come to the main questions that these people are not on. 1 second. No, Rajdeep, you give 10 minutes to Abhishek.
No, you must allow her to respond. I'll give you a minute more.
Rajdeep, just
you made a serious charge. Let them respond.
Rajdeep,
but go ahead.
Let them answer. But Rajdeep, you gave 10 minutes just to a Congress leader. Now you are putting
He is the lawyer of Sonia Gandhi. He has a reason. He has a locus.
So you could have called BJP also individually.
Mr. Poonawala, go ahead.
Now let me ask some specific questions of Ms. Shama Mohammed. One, if, as Mr. Singhvi said, that this is a vendetta politics. The court has said that Young Indians was a special purpose vehicle, and that finding has not been discarded by any other higher court. Is the court doing vendetta politics? 2, if their intention was just to help AJL, why was the shareholding of AJL, 1,000 plus shares, sent over to YI, which had only 2 shareholders majorly, Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi, and it was objected to by whom? By Shanti Bhushan and Markandeya Kaju. Number 3, if this was the case, then why was it that in the IT reassessment order, now he said that there's no offense, IT also came out with an order and it was challenged in the High Court and Supreme Court, and it has not given relief so far to them. 4, if the Congress wanted to waive off the loan and do some charity work for AJL, they could have waived off AJL's loan of 90 crores. They transferred it to YI, gave the entire ownership of the property and the shareholding to YI, and then waived the loan. Did they take permission of the Congress donors? Please don't interrupt. Please don't interrupt.
I'm not going to let you. Shama Mohammed must first answer the politics. We need to focus for now on the politics. Shama Mohammed, Sonia Gandhi is being questioned. Let's assume she's being harassed, as Abhishek Manu Singhvi claimed, that you don't need such extensive interrogation. Either way, that is the process of law. You have to submit to it. Narendra Modi was also questioned by the SIT more than a decade ago for several hours on end. Sharad Pawar was questioned by the ED. I didn't see this kind of mass protest, staging dharnas on the road. Why not just allow the law to take its own course? The more you do it, the optics seem as if the Congress wants to interfere with the process of law.
Rajdeep, let's remember one very important thing.
Please focus on my question.
I'm focusing on your question. The SIT was constituted by the Supreme Court and the High Court. It was not done by the Congress party or the UPA. Let's understand that very clearly. Here the ED is basically sent by Amit Shah and Modi and nobody else.
Is that a fact?
No,
is that a fact?
1 minute.
Is that a fact, Rajdeep?
No, not at all. Just relax.
I did not interrupt vomiting. He was just vomiting things which nobody understood. He was just going on rattoing. So let me...
A legal illiterate like
just
you
a minute, ma'am. Just a minute. Please focus on my question, Shama Mohammed.
So,
there is no evidence that the ED was sent by Narendra Modi and Amit Shah. That is your impression, your perception.
Can I speak? You did not interrupt him.
Please go ahead.
Now, yes, this case started in 2012. The High Court, in fact, threw it out in 2014. The ED also had closed it. They transferred the person who was heading the ED and got a new person. And they were quiet for the last 8 years. Suddenly, they just opened it. That itself shows that it's vendetta. Number 2, yesterday we asked permission to go to Rajghat and do a peaceful protest. And that is our right, Rajdeep. In a democracy, we all have the right to protest. Why did not the Narendra Modi government or the Bharatiya Janata Party allow us to peacefully protest? Now, today morning, I went into my office when I was getting both sides of the Akbar Road were closed. For what? And then when I had to go in, they asked me, they looked at a list, the police, and said, your name is there or not. So normal workers cannot go. Those whose names were there could go in. I got into the Karyalaya, I got into AICC. After that, when I wanted to leave, when I got out of the gate, they arrested me. On what basis have they arrested you? We didn't do anything.
Ma'am, my limited point to you, across the nation, several politicians, senior people, VIPs at times, businessmen are interrogated, questioned by the ED. There aren't protests outside the office of the Enforcement Directorate or on the streets. Allow the law to take its own course. If Sonia Gandhi is innocent, the law will prove it. What is it about the Congress party that, because I'll tell you what, the optics are that, as was suggested in a way by Mr. Poonawalla here, that there's an entitled privilege that no one can question the Gandhi family.
So did Mrs. Gandhi did she protest? She is gone there for the questioning.
So why are you protesting? She's very happy to go. Why are you all protesting?
The protest is part of what has not been allowed also inside Parliament. I think Rahulji also said very clearly, we can't just discuss the increase in the GST, 5% increase. We can't discuss price rise. We can't discuss Agnipak. We cannot discuss the falling rupee. So they're not allowing us to talk in Parliament. They just suspend MPs. We've been waiting for it. And what is the reasoning given? Because Nirmala Sitharaman is got COVID and she's not there. Let me ask
you. Let's discuss about this.
During the farm bills, who was there? Was the agriculture minister?
Why do you need to, ma'am? That is a parliament issue. I asked you, why do you need to be on the street? Why, if Sonia Gandhi is ready to appear before the Enforcement Directorate, why do you need to be on the street?
That is what this protest is also on a larger scale on what is happening inside the parliament. You're not understanding it. So
I'm sorry, Congress, at the moment the impression is the Congress is protesting because they are protesting against the ED. This is a protest against the ED.
Gandhi. This is basically harassment. Like I said, the scheduled offense. He spoke about the scheduled offense. When there is a scheduled offense, only the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, ED, can act. But they haven't shown us the scheduled offense. For example, he says there is a scheduled offense. Now, I want to see the FIR. Can Shehzad Poonawala show me the FIR, please?
Please let me come in.
No FIR till now, Rajdeep. Please ask him why.
Okay.
Now, Rajdeep, I hope you will give me...
Just a minute, Shehzad. Hold the horses.
Because there cannot be money laundering.
Okay, Shama Mohammed, you made your point. Producer, let's turn to Shehzad again. Shehzad, you see, let's turn again to the politics of it. When a political party believes that the Enforcement Directorate is harassing its leader, its top leadership, it is entitled. They are also perfectly entitled to protest. You can question their protest, call it a sense of entitlement. Sonia Gandhi herself, Rahul Gandhi himself have subjected themselves to the ED's questioning. Eventually, doodh ka doodh, pani ka pani, we will know whether there is a crime or not. The BJP also seems to want to make this an issue of teaching the Gandhis a lesson. Somewhere this is nele pe dela, because Mr. Modi was questioned by the SIT for so many hours. We will now question the Gandhis. Do you really need... Most lawyers I have spoken to, Shehzad, say this is not a case where you need 3-4 days, 58 hours questioning. It seems somewhere, therefore, that the ED has been asked, according to the Congress, to send out a message to the Gandhi family.
Rajdeep,
your response.
Please let me answer a lot of these.
No, you respond. You respond to this. Don't worry about it. Respond to this, please.
Rajdeep, I hope you won't interrupt me.
I won't interrupt. Answer my question.
I hope my answers will be longer than your questions. First of all, Rajdeep, you are saying that you will determine how much time the ED should conduct a particular investigation or not conduct it. Let them decide it freely. Secondly, who has told you that...
Are they free?
You have any doubt? Has any court of law said that they are acting under vendetta? Have they been called a caged parrot like they were called in UPA years? Or if they have so much proof, why didn't they go and prove in any case in the last 8 years that, look, the ED is acting in vendetta politics, or they are acting in CBI is acting as a vendetta? In fact, in the Satyendra Jain case, here is the statement of Delhi Congress welcoming the action on Satyendra Jain. So when action of ED is taken on Satyendra Jain, it's good. But when it's on their own leaders, it is bad. Now, that is their tax-free hypocrisy. But let me come to the main point. First of all, time and again, you all are lying. Last time also, when Pawan Kheda and I were on your show in June, at that time, they said there was no FIR. First of all, Rajdeep, let me inform you and your viewers and Shama Mohammed, there is an ECIR in ED cases, not an FIR. One second. Please have the patience. Please, Rajdeep.
No.
Rajdeep, this is an important...
You go ahead, please.
If there was no ECIR, what they call FIR, if there was none of this, in the last 1 month, Chidambaram had also done a one-on-one with you and gone. They could not challenge and get any relief in the court of law that this ED is acting illegally. Are you saying they're so incompetent in law? Thirdly, I am telling you that the ECIR exists. It exists because a case under money laundering has been lodged because please hear me out. The trial court has said that there will be a complaint filed against Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi under 403, 406, 420, read with 120 B IPC. These form schedule offences to activate Section 3 of PMLA. PMLA, it does not attract only when money goes in and out of the country. Proceeds of an illegal criminal act are also therefore attracting PMLA, and therefore this is the section of basis of PMLA. And for the last...
Which lie unproven at the moment. Shehzad, let's be honest.
Rajdeep, first we are talking about whether it is a basis. Rajdeep, the question was there was no FIR or ECIR. I am answering that specific point. Please have some patience. You know, I am a legal person. I have studied law. Secondly...
So have I.
Yes, exactly. We both didn't practice. But now, I am saying that there is an attachment order of ED in the last 1 year. If this was all happening under illegal, without FIR or without ECIR, they questioned Motilal Vora and Oscar Fernandez. Not once in the last 2 years they went and got relief. Are you saying that if this was all baseless, without even an ECIR, they could not go to court? And she said two things, Rajdeep, I can't leave her on that. She said in 2014, the High Court has quashed this case. Can she show me the High Court order of 2014? She said that. And she said Amit Shah and Narendra Modi ji said the ED. She should show proof of that because I have a court order which has mandated the ED to do what it has done. But she should now show me where in 2014 the High Court has quashed this case. Let her answer this specifically. She has made that claim. She's the Congress Party spokesperson.
The High Court has not quashed the case.
Thank you.
Very clear.
Secondly,
the High Court has not quashed the case.
So she lied? She lied?
She lied. You go ahead.
Rajdeep, take a position. She lied. She lied.
She has. I have said
she
what
was
I have
fast
to
and
say.
loose with the truth. Now, secondly, the IT reassessment order,
yes,
which came out by the IT, it was challenged in High Court and Supreme Court by Abhishek Manu Singhvi itself. Did they get relief in that?
The matter is pending before the Supreme Court.
No. This is the Indian Express. The Supreme Court said, one second. National Herald case, Supreme Court allows IT department to continue tax reassessment of Sonia and Rahul Gandhi. Did the court quash it? Did the court quash it? No.
The matter is before the court at the moment. We must be very clear with our facts.
It has not quashed it. They went for quashing. They did not get any relief.
Yes, so the matter is pending before the court.
How is it pending? They went for relief of quashing. They did not get quashing.
They are back before the Supreme Court. The income tax case is being heard before the Supreme Court.
Rajdeep, please be honest.
Shama Mohammed,
Rajdeep, 1 second. Rajdeep, she said the matter was quashed by the courts.
It's not been quashed. I've said
neither the income tax reassessment order has been quashed, nor
it hasn't.
Agreed. The basic case. So she lied. She's a Congress representative who lied. Now, please let me ask 3 specific questions, Rajdeep, because this is fundamental to this entire scam. If they had good intentions of helping AJL was given a 90 crore loan by Congress. Why did they transfer that loan and all the ownership of the property to YI, which had only 2 shareholders? They gave away the rights of 1,000 shareholders, and then they waived that loan.
You made that point earlier. So I need to ask, therefore, a simple question at the end to Shama Mohammed. Shama Mohammed, just a minute now. I want to ask you a straight question. Isn't it better for the Congress party, rather than to nitpick about whether there's a scheduled offense or not, all of this, you have 2 options. One, you can go to a higher court and get it quashed, which you have not been able to do so far, or you allow the law to take its own course and get cleared by the courts eventually. This attempt constantly to suggest, even while the case is at this stage, that the Enforcement Directorate is harassing our leadership and therefore we are hitting the street. I'm only looking at the politics for the moment. Why do you need to do it?
When our leaders are harassed, we will protest, and it's my right in a democracy to do it. Nobody is there to ask, nobody can question me on that. The other thing is, I want to ask him, why is the ED not on Narayan Rane? It's their own leader, Kirit Somaiya, who said he's doing money laundering. Go after him. What about all those people Kirit Somaiya has been saying against in Shiv Sena, who has now become part of the BJP government? There are cases against them. Why is ED not questioning? See, Rajdeep, the problem is ED only questions opposition members. Now, he spoke about this scheduled offense. Now, ECIR only follows an FIR. Let me also give him some clear things on law. It doesn't come to a doorstep of a person. He is not showing me the
ECIR
FIR.
Follows an FIR means what? Can she explain?
Okay,
she's lying through her teeth.
I've now reached a timeout in this debate.
There is no FIR in ED. There is no FIR under.
But I will ask, timeout. But I will ask you one last question, Shehzad, and I want a 1-minute answer. Yeah. You said in the previous government, CBI was called cage parrot by the courts. Opposition says that you have made the ED your washing machine. Your response: if I am in the supporting the BJP or in the BJP, no ED comes to my doorstep. The moment I'm on the other side, the ED targets me. It's across the country now. Therefore, the Enforcement Directorate is a washing machine for the BJP. Quick final answer.
You know, all the 3 sisters of corruption, TMC, Aam Aadmi Party and Congress have made this charge. I just want to ask you, Mr. Arvind Kejriwal said Satyendra Jain is kattar imandar. Let's assume he's completely right. ED did a vindictive action on him. In the last 2 months, Satyendra Jain did not get bail. If this was vindictive, let's assume whatever charges you're making against ED, against our government is all true. The courts are not vindictive. And how come this Congress party representative, when the ED takes action on Satyendra Jain, they welcome it, and when it takes action on them, they say it's not right? So this is their hypocrisy. And thirdly, madam, if you have so much evidence that ED is acting in a vindictive manner, one case in the last 8 years where you've gone to court said that they've not acted in Narayan Rane's case, in Himanta Biswa Sarma's case, and they've acted wrongly in our case. One instance. You can shut us all up.
Okay, let me leave it there. We will wait to see what the courts have to say. At the end of the day, if I was an average citizen, I would have to go before a court of law to take a final proof of my innocence. On the street, you can fight your political battles. The battles will eventually be fought in a court of law in this country. Howsoever high you be, above you, hopefully, there is a court of law in this country. Shehzad Poonawalla, Shama Mohammed, appreciate your joining us here on the news today. Okay, you can say what you want, Shama. In a dry state of Gujarat, 30 people have been killed after consuming hooch. That's our other big story tonight. Most of the victims are breadwinners and their families are now demanding justice. In a moment, we'll ask, why is it that in a prohibition state like Gujarat and earlier Bihar, we have these hooch tragedies? Here's tonight's ground report.
A village in mourning. 7 people enrolled in Botad district died in the Hooch tragedy that has taken nearly 30 lives so far. The worst the dry state of Gujarat has seen in a decade. This family lost 2 breadwinners, Bhavesh and Kishan, in a span of 12 hours.
रविवार को संडे के दिन वो दारू पी के आया होगा, आके सो गया, सो के रात को 9 बजे उसने उठाया उसने मम्मी ने उठाया तो वो उसने उठ नहीं सका, उसने शरीर में से फेंट निकलने लगे और मस्तक माथे पे बंद हो गया। उसका बड़ा भाई था, वो 40 साल का है, उसको भी ऐसा ही हुआ जैसा उसको हुआ था, ऐसा वो मुंह में से खून निकलने का, उल्टी हो गई, मस्तक पे हो गया और झगड़ा गया शरीर।
वो लड़की एक से तो ससुर का कर रही है, वो 2 लड़का है, वो अपंग है, वो भैया क्या करे? दारू धंधो बंद कराओ बराबर।
Villagers say it was a tragedy waiting to happen. Hooch was easily available, they claim. The Sarpanch of Rojed village shared with India Today a copy of the complaint he made to the police. No action followed, he says.
यहाँ दारू पी के सब हंगामा कर रहे थे, यहाँ वहाँ घूमते हैं, किसी की सोसाइटी में आ जा सकते, ऐसा हो रहा था, इसलिए मैंने कंप्लेंट पहले ही की थी।
The police have named Jayesh Khavadia, alias Raju, as the main suspect. According to police, Khavadia allegedly took methyl alcohol from the Ahmedabad-based company where he worked. Khavadia allegedly took the help of 2 relatives to transport methyl alcohol and paid 41,500 rupees for the job. Over the last few months, 600 liters of methyl alcohol was allegedly supplied to bootleggers who made hooch.
लोग जो हैं वो भावनगर विस्तार में हॉस्पिटल में एडमिट हैं, कुछ अहमदाबाद में एडमिट हैं और इस तरह से ये गुनाह दाखिल करके अब इन सब लोगों को राउंड अप किया गया है। 13 लोगों के खिलाफ FIR की गई है और इसमें मैदान शेख का सभी लोगों को, मोटा बाग के लोगों को राउंड अप कर लिया गया है और उनकी पूछताछ जारी है, उनकी इंटेरोगेशन जारी है।
The opposition has hit out at the BJP, the ruling party for almost 25 years in Gujarat.
गुजरात में कानूनी तौर पे नशाबंदी है, शराब यहाँ पे बेची नहीं जा सकती, तो इतने धड़ल्ले से शराब कैसे बिक रही है? या तो प्रशासन करना नहीं चाहता या प्रशासन कर नहीं पा रहा, जनता की जिंदगी जो है वो दांव पे लगी हुई है।
गांधी और सरदार का गुजरात ये कहते होते हुए, लेकिन पूरे गुजरात के एक जिले में, एक तहसील में भाजपा की सरकार पिछले 25 सालों से हर एक जिले में शराब बिक रही है। अब तो ड्रग्स का काला कारोबार भी चल रहा है, 1,75,000 करोड़ का ड्रग्स भी पाया गया। तो गांधी और सरदार के इस गुजरात में क्या हो रहा है?
Gujarat has strict prohibition law in place that bans manufacture, purchase, sale and transport of alcohol. Violators face up to 7 years in jail. However, the latest Hooch tragedy has only exposed the fallings of the law. With camera person Sajid Alam, this is Saurav Vakhtania in Ahmedabad for India Today.
Joining me now on the big question. Hooch in a prohibition state. Has the time come to relook at prohibition? Joined by Dr. Monica Arora. She is Director, Health Promotion and Additional Professor, Public Health Foundation of India. Dr. Rana Singh is an academician who's been writing on this issue. Dr. Arora, first to you. The death toll in the Gujarat tragedy, not the first Hooch tragedy in that state. The previous large one was in Bihar in November last year. The thing that joins both these states together is the fact that there is prohibition here. Is there a sense that the supply of spurious liquor can increase and the administration either is conniving or is allowing this sale of liquor, especially where there is prohibition? Because people want their liquor. Dr. Arora? Dr. Arora?
So, first of all, I would like to clarify. Can you hear me?
Yes, please. Go ahead, ma'am.
First of all, I would like to say it's a very unfortunate tragedy, and as public health professional as well as government and all stakeholders, we have to do everything possible to avoid such a situation in any state of India. So prohibition is not the only strategy with which we can curb huge tragedies in future. We definitely need a more comprehensive national alcohol control strategy in our country. It's important that we realize prohibition is one of the strategy which would restrict access and availability and definitely would prevent new uptake. But the current users require a much comprehensive strategy and uniform laws. We cannot have laws which are changing from state to state. Minimum legal drinking age changes from state to state. So let's look at this issue more comprehensively and not just restrict it to whether prohibition in a state works or not.
Professor Rana Singh, your view on this? Should we be linking it at all to prohibition, Dr. Rana Singh?
Well, prohibition we have seen right since 1920 in US and most of the Indian 4-5 states which have implemented. Now, the real challenge lies in having a strong enforcement mechanism, because just the enactment does not bring the required change. We have to have a strong and comprehensive strategic action plan to make sure the entire community of varied demographic background, they should be sensitized in such a way that they understand the pros and cons and they avoid it.
So why do we need prohibition? Dr. Rana Singh, why do we need prohibition in the first place?
Absolutely.
What we need is a transparent liquor policy.
Correct. I think I would like to justify why we need it. There have been empirical evidences which have shown that the states having strong prohibition laws and strong enforcement mechanism, we have seen drastic drop in violence against women, crime against women, decrease in the accidents on the highways as well as within the cities. Apart from that, they have seen increased life expectancy of people, decrease in various diseases pertaining to liver and other allied aspects. More so, it has stopped, minimized, and has a significant impact in various crimes as well as health-related impacts. So there are significant.
So you're saying from the health aspect there is enough evidence to suggest that prohibition, if properly enforced, does work. But the Indian examples, and we can go state by state there, Dr. Arora, if you look at, for example, at the moment, Gujarat, where this has happened, we saw Bihar last year, some states have been unsuccessful, have had to pull back. Andhra Pradesh most famously had to pull back from prohibition. The question arises, can we not find a more transparent manner in which liquor is sold, thereby ensuring that you do not have to rely on those illegal bootleggers, the entire parallel industry that flourishes in all these states?
Transparent mechanism. Even in Gujarat, there is a process of providing license. A person gets a license to drink, provided he has to make an application, and there is a document and it says Bevde ka naam, Bevde ke baap ka naam. So there is a mechanism in place. However, the enforcement mechanism becomes a challenge. Means the kind of population and the demographic diversity which we have, it's a real big challenge to make sure that we have such a diverse and comprehensive implementation and enforcement mechanism which can get spread towards all the villages, suburban areas.
So in the end, you're saying it boils down to more effective enforcement. If you effectively enforce prohibition, it works. Where it is not effectively enforced, when the networks work in a manner in which there are these nexuses between the police on the ground as well as the illegal bootleggers, that's where these huge strategies tend to happen. Monica Arora and Raman Singh, I appreciate you joining me. Let's take a break at this point. When we return, our Good News Today story. And tonight, it comes from Kerala. That and more on the other side.
I don't read the news. I read between the lines to tell you the true version of events. the true story of our times.
To document grief, the toughest assignment for any journalist to be.
From those who matter,
Women politicians going to stick up for each other.
of those who should matter, I document the truth. I don't distort the truth. I don't glamorize the truth. I don't gloss over the truth.
The ghosts of India's contentious medieval history have come knocking again.
I hustle for the truth. On the ground, in the newsroom, in the studio. I don't try to grab eyeballs.
I inform you to make you see the point.
To the Point with Preeti Chaudhary. At these times, only on India Today.
Fashion industry is all about new designs, styles and creations. Well, now fashion designers have a new playground for their creations, the metaverse. This digital world where, thanks to an avatar that gives us a virtual twin, we can evolve and act just as we would in the real world. We enter it through wearing a virtual reality headgear or by watching a computer or smartphone screen. The metaverse is a space for experimentation and testing out new products, allowing designers to push the boundaries of their creativity. This has economic advantages too. By testing out their collection in the metaverse, they can then analyze public reaction in it and adapt demand accordingly to avoid surplus production and unsold items in the real world. In other words, an eco-friendly approach. For other designers, their creations will stay digital. On specialized platform, brands commercialize their virtual clothes by attaching to them an NFT or a non-interchangeable unit of data stored on a blockchain that can be sold and traded using cryptocurrency. This kind of marketing saves brands from their worst nightmare: fakes flooding the marketplace. With the second-hand market booming, reselling a pair of virtual shoes associated with an NFT will give the designer royalties on each transaction. Some brands link a virtual fashion item with its counterpart in reality.
Welcome back. Let's turn to our Good News Today story tonight. And displaying that disability is not an impediment to success, Kochi girl Hannah Alice Simon secured the first rank in Class 12 board examinations in the disabled category. It's tonight's Good News Today story.
Hannah Alice Simon's songs on YouTube are about despair, hope, and a belief in miracles.
With peace, hope, and love, we fight sin and evil.
The 19-year-old visually impaired student from Kochi says a score of 496 out of 500 in the CBSE Class 12 exams is nothing less than a miracle.
Getting 496 is a big thing. It's a big miracle for me. I never expected this score actually. It was totally unexpected, and unexpected surprises are even more beautiful. And another happiness for me is that I am sharing the same score with one of my classmates, Lynette. So when you share something like this, when you enjoy success alone and when you share success with someone, it's a different feeling.
Hannah, a student at the Rajgiri Christu Jayanti Public School, suffers from microphthalmia, a condition that led her to blindness for her. Born to Simon, a legal advisor, and Lija, a school teacher, Hannah is a singer, composer, writer of short stories, YouTuber, and motivational speaker. Hannah's parents sent her to a regular school instead of a blind school. There she has had her own share of challenges as she faced bullying by her classmates.
These small bullying that I faced in childhood actually shaped me to become strong. And
Hannah will soon fly to the US, where she has been awarded a full scholarship to pursue graduation in psychology at the University of Notre Dame in Indiana.
US is not like Kochi and Thiruvananthapuram. It's not that. US is 17 hours away by flight. If I one day, all of a sudden, if I miss my mother, I cannot go to her.
Hannah has one piece of advice to all those chasing their dreams.
In every person's life, there will be at least one person who believes in you. So find a person like that, hold on to him. If you show the world that you have achieved your dream, then every single person who spoke against you, every single person who insulted you will come to congratulate you. That day you will be the hero.
With Shiva Moli in Kochi, Bureau Report, India Today.
Nice, lovely, good news story there. Let's leave you with our image tonight. Remember, July 26th is Kargil Divas. Tonight, an underwater portrait of late Captain Vikram Batra was installed by a Kerala artist, Da Vinci Suresh, as part of the celebrations at Thiruvananthapuram. The event was organized by the Indian Army. The portrait is 50 feet long and 30 feet wide. Da Vinci Suresh took 8 hours to complete this unique 1,500 square foot underwater installation. It's pretty magical. It's our image tonight, and we salute tonight all the brave soldiers who fought in that Kargil war. It was a remarkable act of raw courage to capture the Kargil heights from the invading Pakistanis. And therefore, to Captain Vikram Batra and all of them, they will be remembered forever. We sleep well at night because of the sacrifices that these brave men made. That image of Captain Batra is our image tonight. Thanks for watching. Stay well, stay safe. Good night. Jai Hind. Shubh Ratri.
Digi Yatra is going to be implemented in India from 31st August. It will allow passengers to catch their flight quickly if they are in a hurry. So basically, the Digi Yatra allows facial recognition technology or biometric-based digital processing of passengers done at the airport. It will be functional at the airports of 7 states: Delhi, Bengaluru, Hyderabad, Varanasi, Vijayawada, Kolkata and Pune. They would not have to provide their identity cards or boarding pass at different checkpoints, including the entry, security checks, and the aircraft boarding. It will also facilitate a self-bag drop. The initiative is expected to be a paperless, centralized registration system. The government ID repositories, airport security systems, and airline back-end network would be integrated together. A mobile application will also be launched by the Ministry of Civil Aviation. Digi Yatra application will share the ticket details and the facial data. The airport will be equipped with the biometric camera-based e-gates. Although the scheme is going to make traveling very easy, there are certain loopholes that passengers may not like. According to the Internet Freedom Foundation, there would be privacy risks with features like facial recognition for check-ins and data recall.
Everyone's busy finding what's trending. You're busy finding out why. India Today, for those who research before reacting. Download the India Today app now. Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on